I'm here today to share some ideas from our new customer contact centre, which we actually stole from another council, so I felt my civic duty to be able to come here and share it with you all. So if anybody else needs to share it as well, feel more than welcome. And that's the great thing about events like this, is that you can take things away and use it. You don't really need to reinvent the wheel. Strathbogie Shire is approximately 10,000 people in population, and we have 161 staff working out of our offices, and we have 3 depots. So we've got a depot in Euroa, we've got a depot in Violet Town, and we have a depot in Nagambie as well. So we're quite spread out and diverse across our townships, which include places like Avenel, Euroa, Violet Town, Longwood and Ruffy and Strathbogie, lots of other places like that. So you can see here, this is Kylie. She's our fabulous team leader and hates getting her photo taken, so you can imagine her joy as I said, I'm going to put this in front of a lot of different councils. She said, oh, that's fantastic, can't you take a better photo? And this is actually Lauren. She's one of our newest customer contact team members. She comes from Avenel. She likes disgusting looking health drinks, is a fitness freak, and she is great at asking questions. And you know, the one question that she asks people every single day that I think is fantastic is there anything else that I can help you with today? And it seems like such a simple notion, but really it starts that conversation, and I think that's a very important part of what we're doing. Asking questions. The way things used to be, isolation. I think we all know this. Councils are set up and there's lots of different departments doing lots of different things, and you go, really? I had no idea that was happening. And that was something that was really happening at Strathbogie, lots of different departments working in lots of different areas and just not having that conversation about how can we better service our customers? You know, do they really need to speak to 4 people before they can get an answer? Would they have been less angry by the time that they got, you know, if they got the answer from the first person as opposed to the 4th person? You know, can that first person actually help them by going and having the discussions with the 2nd, 3rd and 4th person? The way it used to be. So this is me. This was manager communications, and then there was a manager customer relations. So I used to look after communications, PR and marketing. And then the manager customer relations looked after customer service, records and IT. Not working very well together, not necessarily having any discussions about what was going on. And when you've got customers that have concerns or are quite irate, usually the next process is they're going from a problem in here over to the local newspaper and causing a lot of problems for us in those areas. And by not having those discussions and not working together, we really weren't solving any of the issues. So departments working in isolation, we definitely had the resource. So customer service and records in themselves had 10 people sitting in there. So 4 people in records and 6 people in customer service, and then we had 2 in communications. But it was split across 3 departments, so we weren't working together. Staff morale was low, and there were big changes in management, and I'm sure you've all experienced this rationalisation across the board. And changes in structure can make staff quite unhappy and unsure whether their jobs are really relevant. And we've got people on our teams who are working damn hard. Staff massively underutilised. You know, you've got people sitting in reception who might have skills in other areas. We had a lady sitting in records who knew how to design websites and really wanted to get involved in that space. The discussion had never happened before. Staff were not encouraged to take the next step to try and help the customer. They were cold, dropping phone calls all over the place. Irate customers going straight through to someone's voicemail. Where do you think they go next? Straight to the newspaper. They tell 10 of their friends about what's going on. And the link between community engagement and customer service was not really recognised. Light bulb moment. Where do we go from here? So a new department was born. Community relations now consists of records, customer service and communications all working together. Fantastic. All of a sudden we've got resource. The customer contact centre was something that we stole from another, I can't even remember who it was, it might have been a big city council. And basically what it meant was they tried to stop things at the first phone call. So at the first phone call, that customer service officer is going and finding the information and going back to the customer and giving them what they need. And it really didn't matter if it was something to do with projects and works, you know, there was drainage issues happening down Binney Street in Euroa. Oh, we'll just put that through to projects and works. No. How about we take the little walk and go and find out that information, come back and give that information back to the customer. So we're trying to stop it here and give the customer one key contact person. One person that they can deal with, and hopefully, if that's a good experience, one person that they'll want to go straight back to the next time. So what happened next? Staff were encouraged to take the next step, work together and help the customer. We started asking questions. And all of a sudden, this really made our staff so much happier because they were getting all the information and they were sharing it amongst each other and being able to help the next customer and the next customer. The link between community engagement and customer service was recognised. So that phone call that you're having on the front desk and the fact that they're going back and telling 10 of their friends that they've had a really good or bad experience was recognised. Our customer service results went up. So in the local government community satisfaction surveys, customer service actually went up by 3%. For us, that was pretty good. Our call abandonment rates, so basically where a customer's holding and then decides they're not going to hold any longer and they drop out, reduced from 6% down to 4%. Because our records team and our customer service team all started answering phone calls together. So we managed to limit the amount of people that were dropping off the radar. And the great feedback started flooding in. All of a sudden, people were really happy with what was going on. And I've got some of it here today, but it's amazing the amount of great feedback we're getting as a result of this. And we had enough resource to open up another customer service centre in Nagambie 5 days a week, which we'd always really wanted to do. We had started doing mobile customer service in Nagambie 2 days a week. And yeah, basically Nagambie's our key growth area. That was somewhere we really wanted to be able to tap into. And because now we were utilising our resources all in the one pool, we've had the ability to do that. This has actually had a wide impact across the organisation. We're working together with our Visitor Information Centre in Nagambie. That's actually where our customer service is located. And now, because we'll have someone located there 5 days a week, it's going to be fully accredited. And the person that we actually have working over there is not only giving us help with our calls that are coming through, but they're also helping with the Visitor Information Centre calls. So they're actually being cross-skilled across 2 departments. Lucky we had a great team. This is exactly right. And the feedback. So you can see that's 5th of December. And a bit more. So, and more again. Excellent service. And this is actually our customer contact centre in Nagambie. So this is Deb. Deb's a cracker of a lady and has been working with council since I was in nappies. And this is Libby. She prefers to be known as the party girl. She oversees the VIC, which will now reach accreditation. So we're working closely across departments. We've also got Karen working over in Nagambie. She works part-time, has 3 beautiful kids and even volunteers now for the VIC on weekends. So there you go. Have you got any questions? So they're all linked into the same phone system, and they're all linked into the same computer system. It's basically just a mirror image of what we run in Euroa through Citrix, but we're getting a little bit of better technology happening for the phones. We found that Citrix wasn't great for our phones, and we got a little bit of a computer sound when you're actually starting to pick it up. So we're actually, we've purchased a router to go over there so that we can actually sit it as a standalone phone. The only other problems we found was when people were docking in on their laptops over in Ngambia and then docking in Euroa, it was taking a long time for them to start their computers up. We have a fairly high part-time workforce at Euroa, and particularly at our team. So we were having a lot of issues with rostering and making sure people were there on certain days. And when they're in different departments and you're not pulling them all together, it was a massive issue for us. And we were finding there was days in a row where we would just have to close the records office altogether. So we weren't delivering a full service. But by bringing them together, I think the staff have felt really empowered as well, because they've been trained in other areas and they're really getting access to the communications department, which before was like this enigma. You know, they knew it sort of happened, but now they're actually taking the phone calls and taking the inquiries. What is that actually about? You know, they're really starting to listen to the phone calls, which is important. And we were doing a lot of training in these areas that wasn't really helping the customer. So what we're trying to really emphasise now is putting the customer at the heart of all of our decision making and what can make things easier for them. What the customer service officers were doing previously was they were looking at the statistics of being able to just get rid of the phone call. Oh, we got rid of that phone call, that wasn't for us. You know, we put it straight through to their voicemail, so that was a resolution. That's not a resolution. That customer hasn't been helped yet. And the odds are, if you've put them straight through to their voicemail, they're going to ring back. So we had to say, listen, you've really got to take to the next step and try and help the customer, because the odds are they might just be looking for a form, maybe something to do with planning or building that you would have been able to help them with at the start. And when you're looking at those processes like planning and building, it can be such a long process, and if you've got someone to help them right at the start, it can really help. So we've actually got 2 staff that are being cross-trained in our planning department as well, and spending 2 days each a week just in there learning all of the planning department processes, because we actually found that they were 50% of our phone calls coming through. So now they're starting to share all of that information within the team as well. So there's a better knowledge of the calls that are coming through. And we're looking to do the same in projects and works and, you know, engineering and all those other different areas. So we can actually have specialty officers. So now if there's a planning inquiry and there's not actually a planner available in the office, we can actually put them through to one of our 2 customer service officers who are trained in those areas. Might not be able to take it to the fullest extent, but can certainly get back to that customer and get the information that they need. So it's just really a matter of pulling together the resources and encouraging people to work as a team. And we've certainly had our share of resistance as well. There are times, I think everybody in that change scheme goes through the period of grief and then, you know, they work through to acceptance. But I think that most of our staff are really keen for this to happen, because they can see that there are so many more job opportunities for them now because they're being trained in so many different areas. We've got people who never ever thought that they might be interested in planning who are now thinking about doing education in that area. Yeah, so we've got 11 people in our team altogether, including myself, so it's actually still quite a small team. But we have 1 officer who is basically fully trained in website design. We have 2 officers that are now being trained in planning but have background in finance. Deb, who you can see there, she actually ran a caravan park in Ngambia, so she's actually got a specialisation in that sort of visitor experience, so we've really tried to utilise her in those areas. We've got another customer service officer, Judy, who used to be in education, and she's really good at training, so we actually get her involved now to train our staff. And we are actually putting on a few casuals just to fit the bill. The only issues we've really found have been during school holiday time, because we do have a high part-time workforce and most of the ladies who work within our team are mums. That's the time when most people want to take leave, so we have to get casuals during that time just to fill in the spaces. But there are other officers that do specialise in records, and they certainly help us in all of those areas. And
so the records person doesn't answer the phone?
Yes, Yes, she does. Yep. So we have a bit of a complex system and we're looking at upgrading our phone system. We're on IPFX, which means that you can only have 4 officers sitting in the main console, which gives you all of the full features. But what you can actually do in this system is have an overflow. So basically once those 4 people have started answering their phone calls and they're all full, it then goes to the next person. And everyone, including myself, sits in overflow so they can take the calls when they're needed. I changed my offices, so I used to sit upstairs. I've moved now into an office right next to where I can hear exactly what's going on, so that when those customer service officers are full, I can actually come out myself and help too, which is great because it keeps me across everything that's happening. And you know, there might be issues occurring and constantly occurring that haven't been brought to my attention, but in having that regular contact and sitting on the front desk, I can really stay abreast of that. We did actually trial mobile customer service in both Violettown and Avenel with a very poor pickup rate. We decided Ngambie because Ngambie already had the Visitor Information Centre, so it was already there. We didn't need to lease an extra building, and it's really our growth centre. So if we didn't have someone located there, we'd be mad. And it's got that cross benefit of now being a fully accredited Visitor Information Centre, which is fantastic. So it's departments working together and talking, and I think that's been the key thing, is encouraging officers to go out and talk to that person in projects and works. Oh, there is a drainage problem happening in there. How about we get some letters out to those residents next time before this happens? And you've got records officers who are seeing all of the correspondence coming through to the organisation and can see if something hasn't been responded to within a certain amount of time as well. So you've got these staff that are so connected and are a huge contact point and have a large impact as far as that community engagement. So I think it's great that we've sort of tapped them all in together. Oh, definitely. And customer service and planning were just at odds with each other, like just banging heads like you wouldn't believe. And it was a bad relationship, and that was something we didn't really know how to fix it straight away. We went, okay, how are we going to stop all this from happening? We're going to sit someone there straight away. And if there's something that they want to say, they'll say that to that person directly. So it started off as a relationship issue, and then when we looked into the stats, we went, this is half of our phone calls anyway. And the frustration really was because that customer on a Friday afternoon when no one was there had no one to get back to them, and they didn't really know when someone was going to get back to them. But by having a customer service officer located in there, you've actually got 2, and you can guarantee there's always someone there on a Friday. So that's solved a lot of our issues. Yeah, and they're really complex inquiries as well. So those customer service officers aren't going to be able to answer all of that, but they've got the person sitting right next to them who can, and they can have that discussion. Yeah, we tend to hide behind emails and phone calls and all that sort of stuff and not actually go up to the person and talk to them and try and resolve. And that's something that we've really tried to instill with this group. Get up out of your chair, go and have the conversation. It's going to save you a lot of time. And yeah, we're starting a lot of work in that sort of community engagement field, and we'll be involving all of our customer service contact officers in that process because they have the most amount of contact. They've got all the information, they know what's going on. They're the most connected people in the organisation, but the most underutilised. So that's what we're trying to change.